All right. Hi, everybody. In today's video, we're going to be going over the elimination method. The way this is going to work is that we want you to get your math notebook out and follow along. I'm going to do the first problem, and you can follow along in your notebook. And then for the second problem, we'll pause and let you work through it, and we can all work through it together. And then on the third problem, you will do it on your own, and then you will input your answer. So for the elimination method, remember that we want to use this method when we have both equations in standard form, which is what we have here. We have some x's plus some y's equal a constant. And the way this is a little bit different from how we've been doing it before is that when we were doing it before, it was set up so that when we added these two equations together, one of our variables canceled out. And right now, that's not going to happen. If we add these two together, we can see that we'll get 2x plus x equals 3x, y plus y equals 2y. And so we would not cancel out any variables. And so what we need to do is multiply one of our equations by a -1. And so I'm going to choose to multiply this bottom equation. I'm going to multiply the whole thing by -1. And then what I'm going to do is just recopy my top equation here. So I have 2x plus y equals 7. And then remember that every term in this equation has to be multiplied by -1. So -1 times x is -x. -1 times y is -y. And -1 times 1 equals -1. Okay. And now we can go ahead and add these two equations together. So what I'm going to do is add them. So here we have 2x minus x is just 1x. And here is where our variables are going to cancel. So a positive y plus a negative y equals 0. So those go away. And then we're just left with equals, and 7 minus 1 is 6. Or 7 plus a -1 is 6. So there, now we have our value for x. We know that x equals 6. So since we have our value for x, we need to go back and solve for our value of y. So we can choose either of these two equations up here. I'm going to choose this x plus y equals 1 because it's a little bit simpler, has smaller numbers. So we know that x equals 6, so I'm going to input, so we have 6 plus y equals 1. Okay, so in order to get this y by itself, because we want to know what y equals, we're gonna subtract 6 from both sides, so -6, and then we get that y equals -5. Okay, so now we have our value for x and our value for y. We know x equals -6 and y equals -5, and as an ordered pair, we would write that as 6, -5. All right, so let's go to our next problem. So here is our next problem. 4x plus 3y equals 18, and 4x equals 8 plus 2y. And so the first thing that I notice about this is that I have one equation in standard form, but this second equation is not in standard form. Remember that standard form means we have our x's and our y's equal to a constant. But this one, our x's and y's are on opposite sides of the equation, so we need to put it in standard form first. In order to do that, what we need to do is we need to move these two y's and get rid of them on the right side and have them be on the left side. So what I'm going to do is subtract 2y from both sides. Okay, and now below I'm going to rewrite my whole system. So I'm going to rewrite the top equation. I have 4x plus 3y equals 18. And then I have 4x minus 2y equals 8. Okay, so now we are going to do the step like we did in our last equation, because if we add these two equations together now, nothing's going to cancel out. So I'm going to multiply this bottom equation here by -1. Okay, so again, I'm going to rewrite my equations here. I have 4x plus 3y equals 18. And now I have a negative 4x plus 2y, because -1 times -2y is a positive 2y, and that equals -8. Okay, now we can go ahead and add these two equations together. So I'm going to say plus. And here is our 0 pair, so our x's are going to cancel. So 4x minus 4x is 0. And now we have 3y plus 2y, so that equals 5y. And now that equals 18 plus a -8 is 10. Okay, so our final step to solve for y is divide by our coefficient. So we're going to divide both sides by 5, divide by 5, and we get y equals 10 divided by 5 is 2. Sorry, let me move that up for you. So we get y equals 2. Okay, so now we know what our y value is, so we need to solve for our x value. So we can pick either of our original equations. I'm going to go ahead and use this, or I'll just use this top one here, 4x plus 3y equals 18. So up here I'm going to say 4x plus 3, and remember we found out that y was equal to 2, so times 2 equals 18. Alright, so that is 4x plus 3 times 2 is 6 equals 18. We need to get our x's by themselves, so we're going to get rid of the 6, so minus 6 from both sides. So we're left with just a 4x over here, so these are gone. So we have 4x equals, and then 18 minus 6 is 12. And then our final step to solve for x is divide by our coefficient, 4, divide by 4. And x equals, we have 12 divided by 4 is 3. So our value for x is 3. Alright, so let's write that as an ordered pair. As an ordered pair, our solution is x is 3 and y is 2. And we'll go ahead and highlight our ordered pair solution. Okay, so let's take a look at our last problem. So here is the last problem that you're going to do on your own. Remember that to look and see that our first equation here is in standard form, so we have 6x minus 3y equals 36, and our second equation is not in standard form. So you're going to have to change this equation so that it's in standard form, and if you need help, you can go back and rewatch what we just did. But go ahead and do that and then input your answers when you're done.